Hello, everyone, and welcome to the part two of chapter 10 communications. So, we'll be looking at the email groups. Okay, so email groups are used for a number of purposes. Okay, it is easier for a user to send out multiple emails, right? That's if the addresses are all grouped together under a single name. For example, we do that in right here in my school. We do that. For example, for year 8, we put all the email address into year 8 to year 7, year 9, year 10, year 11, and even the sixth form. So if you're sending out a message to the group mail, all other mails gets to get it now. So the user only needs to use that single name in the toolbox. Okay, company organization can group people together for marketing purposes. Okay, for example, according to age, hobbies, favorite music, etc., etc., etc. So this means that the email can target specific groups. Okay, spammers can create email groups by buying the addresses of people from a certain company or from software that raise address books or companies or email companies, right? This means that several thousands can be people can be sent spam at once. That's also what they use. The spammers, they also use the email groups to actually do that. Okay, not just that, company also use this email group to set up meetings. Okay, for example, for video conferencing, to ensure that everybody is invited to attend. So it will be easy to forget a person if the address email addresses were all typed individually. So that is why the email groups are very, very, very key. Okay, and when new student comes in, we add them immediately to the email groups when they come in. So it's easy because it's so easy because for teachers, if you want to pass a message to your 7, you don't have to start thinking of their email address and probably another adding to this, you can actually make mistakes. Okay, you can actually make mistakes or typing errors or not getting the accurate spelling of the email address, and yeah, at the end of the day, you can see email not sent, email not sent, email not sent. So it's quite important that email groups. These are the reasons, numbers of reasons, purposes for the email groups. Okay. The next one is other email operations. Okay, apart from the person you're sending the email to, there are other operations or other options available. Okay, and we have what we call the CC. So apart from you sending an email message to just one person, there are other options you can also explore, which is your carbon copies, your blind carbon copies, forward and attachment. I'll be looking at it in this video. Okay, so the carbon copies and the blind carbon copies, let's talk about them. So the difference between the carbon copies and the blind carbon copy is that the BCC address details are invisible to everyone receiving the email. Okay, so then the invisible, that is for the blind carbon copy, right? Apart from the BCC recipients. Okay, all recipients in the CC list, however, can be seen by all other recipients. So the use of CC is just negative, right? Those on the tool are the main recipients, and those on the CC list are interested parties. BCC is often used as a security measure, okay, when using email groups. When sending an email to many recipients, the following is an added security to keep the addresses of everyone safe. Put your own email address in the tool field, set up the email group containing all the recipients, give it a name, and then store this. Put this name email group in the BCC field, okay, and this will provide some additional protection because anyone seeing the email, authorized or unauthorized, will not be able to see the email address of the individual's recipients. Okay, and that is the whole essence of the BCC. So you just have to put your email in the tool and then you put this other one in the BCC. Okay, now for example, this is a good a case study of it. So the tool, who are you sending the tool? I put my own name in the tool, right? And for the CC, I can put somebody I want, but for the BCC, I can put the people I want, and of course the subject line, and of course the body of the message. Okay, then let's talk about forwarding of emails. Forwarding of emails should be treated with great care. Okay, suppose your name is Dave and you work for a company with the domain the hothousedesign.co.uk. You have been given a company email address box, okay, where all your emails are received, which is Dave at the company. You have decided to forward all your emails to Dave, where you can read them at your leisure. This means that all email, including spam, will be sent to your email address, right? Two problems is going to exist here. Number one, some internet service do not recognize the true source of emails and would regard all emails as actually coming from the whole house domain, including the spam, because they have been forwarded from that domain. Two, some emails have spam filters in place based on the email volume from just one address. So if you keep forwarding, at the point it sees that it's spam, right? So both outcomes are not desirable because there will now be increased risk that many of the emails sent to the email address will be seen as spam. You could end up being blacklisted by your internet service provider. For this reason, it's really not a good idea to just forward emails all at once, because at the end it could be seen as spam. Number two, you could actually have a spam, and your ISP could actually see it. Okay, this is coming from a genuine place, and you usually that may not be good. Okay. The next one is attachment. I want to talk about attachment, right? Always treat attachment with great caution, right? Because spam or phishing, which we've seen, can potentially cause malicious attachment, right? So your computer can become infected if the attachment contains an executable file. Example executable files are your .exe, .msi, your .bat, cmd, and so on. Okay, it is also important to remember when sending attachments that the ISP we have a limit on the size of files that can be sent. That is the reason why we also use cloud storage and add it as a link instead of an attachment. So emails were never intended to include a large file, never. Okay, it is probably better to look at an alternative when sending the large file. So what are the alternatives when sending the large file? Like I said, you could use the cloud storage. Just upload your files there, and then you can just attach the link, copy the link, and send it in when sending your emails. Okay, file compression could actually be another way. You could actually compress the file to reduce the size. That can actually work. Selecting a web service that allows files to be transferred, or upload the file and then create a link, like I've said, and this link can be sent in an email, and the recipient can easily download very large files by clicking on it. Okay, and now let's talk about characteristics and the effect of spam. Okay, it's very important that we look at it. Now, what are the characteristics? We know spam is the unsolicited emails sent over the internet. That is the constant sending, okay, of emails, of messages into your emails. We see that spam, and when it's sent to multiple recipients, it can range from being simply annoying to dangerous, because this spam can contain viruses or could be part of a phishing scam. So you have to be very careful. Spam can affect many online operations. Okay, for example, YouTube, where links called spam box, okay, are posted within videos which send users to another website. Why some will regard spam as a cheap way of advertising to many people at the same time. Most people consider it to be a big nuisance. Okay, the main disadvantages are it uses up people's time. It generally annoys people. Yeah, right. It uses up the valuable bandwidth on the internet, thereby slowing it down. It could have viruses attached, or even be part of a phishing scam. Okay, it can clock up a user inbox. You'll be having a lot of unnecessary messages being popped up in your email, thereby clocking up your user inbox, because a lot of messages, even the ones that are very, very important, you might not even get to see it. And spam is not just a problem for computer users. Now, it can also affect mobile users, mobile phones. In this case, it's usually text messages being sent to multiple phones. Okay, it is sometimes referred to as your M spam, which means mobile spamming or spam SMS. Okay, at the basis level, it just annoys people. But with some mobile phones, providers, users are charged at for each message they receive, so it can become more than just an annoyance. Okay, so for every message you receive, they charge you, right? But in a child of our country, when you're sending, actually you're being charged for sending it. Okay, so whichever way, it can really be annoying. Okay, yeah. And finally, in this video, before we close it, we're going to look at we're just going to look at the effective use of the internet. So let's talk about it. The effective use of the internet. Now, we're going to consider the effective use of the internet, such as internet, intranet, extranet. Okay, So let's look at the characteristics, the uses, the advantages, and disadvantages of this internet, and then we can call this a wrap. Right? The differences between the internet and the World Wide Web. What is the difference? The word internet comes from interconnected network, because it is basically a worldwide collection of interconnected computers. Okay, and the internet as a whole is usually a concept rather than something tangible. That is something we can touch. However, it relies on the physical infrastructure that allows network and individual devices to connect to other networks and devices. Now, this is a good example of what I'm talking about. So we have different hosts and hubs, and that becomes a network. And then we have a gateway, and then another gateway. We have a hub. We have a hub, a network. Now, a collection of all this is your LAN, or some people will call it collections of multiple LANs. Okay, that becomes an internet, right? So, in contrast, the World Wide Web is only a part of the internet which user can access using the web browser software. You can access the internet with a web browser. So the World Wide Web consists of a massive collection of what? Web pages, and has based on the hypertext transfer protocol since the 1989. Okay, so we can see that the internet is basically a collection of interconnected network, and the World Wide Web is a collection of massive collection of web pages, right? So the World Wide Web is a way of accessing information using the internet. Okay, so let's look at the differences between the internet and the World Wide Web. For internet, users can send and receive emails. For the World Wide Web, it is a collection of multimedia web pages and other informations on websites. Okay. Two, it allows video chatting, or online chatting rather, via text, audios, and videos. Okay. For the World Wide Web, uses what we call the HTTPS protocol to send the HTML documents, talking about your hypertext markup language, which is used for writing your HTML, and it makes it what we call, for internet, it makes it what we call the transmission protocol and your internet protocol. And for the World Wide Web, there is the URL, which is the Uniform Resource Locator, which specifies the location of web pages. For internet, it is a collection, a worldwide collection of interconnected network and devices, and the World Wide Web uses the internet to access information from the web server. Intranet and extranet, and then we can call it a day. Many companies use an intranet as well as the internet. Okay, an internet is defined as a company or a computer network based on the internet. That's what it is. Internet is defined as an intranet, rather, is defined as a computer network based on the internet technology. But it is designed to meet the internal needs for sharing information within a same organization or company. Okay, access to the intranet is usually confined to company or organizations, and unlike the internet, it's not available for the general public, right? So internet resides behind the firewall and are only accessible internally to members of the company or to people given various levels of access who are external to the company. Okay, and okay, another one is the intranet offers better bandwidth than the internet. Therefore, there are fewer connection limits than the internet. Okay, that is, numbers of bits per second that can be transmitted are usually higher within an intranet. It is also possible to create extranet that allows intranet to be extended. So the extended version of the intranet is the extranet, okay, outside the organization, but with the same advantage as the intranet. Okay, so it is only with people who have access, okay, and thereby it is possible. Now, before we talk about that, there are numbers of reasons for adopting the intranet rather than using the internet. Number one, internet as safer because there's less chance of that external hacking of viruses. It is safer to prevent external links to, for example, safer certain websites. So you prevent external links. Companies can ensure that information available is specific to their internal audience, and it is easier to send out sensitive messages in the knowledge that they will remain within the company. Intranet offers better bandwidth than the internet, therefore there are fewer connections limits than with the internet. Okay, that is numbers of bits per second can be transmitted are usually higher within the internet, right? For the external, like we've said, trading partners to have control access to some information, although their commercially sensitive information is password protected. So with the two of them, we see intranet, we see the communication via the telephone, mobile phones, and communication via the virtual private network. Okay, so a person can connect to the company intranet using your mobile phone network to contact the company secure server. A numbers of safeguard will permit only certain users to have access to commercialized data. Connections, on the other hand, that is by mobile phones, by private networks, connections to company secure server is made via the internet. Secret keys are used to encrypt all communications between the user and the server. No one can eavesdrop, okay, on the transmitted data without this key. So it's an example of what we call the VPN. Okay, all right. So we have a good example like this. Now it shows the intranet, extranet, and the internet that can be connected together. Access to server behind, of course, access to server is behind a firewall and is limited for external users. So we have the external users, we have the internet that people can access, we have the extranet. Of course, we have the server, we have the firewall that they have to put in their login. It's going to filter everything because firewall, what firewall does is to filter incoming and outgoing traffic from the user computer to the network. Okay, and we have the application servers, the external servers as much as possible, and then we have the internal company network. Okay, and before we go to blogs, we're just going to end here and we'll just talk about the differences between the internet and intranet. Okay, as discussed, the term internet comes from phrase interconnected network. The term intranet comes from the phrase internal restricted access network. Okay, that's why we have the intra. Okay, so that intra means internal restricted access network. An intranet is used to give local information relevant to the company, okay, or organization, whereas the internet covers everything. It is possible to block up certain websites using the intranet, whereas in the internet it is, very difficult. So we have been able to see the difference between internet and intranet. Okay, now an intranet offers requires a password and a user ID to be able to access information or to access the network, whereas when it comes to the internet you just need an ISP account. An intranet is behind a firewall that gives you some form of protection against the hackers, viruses, etc. But in the internet, there's less protection against hackers and malware when accessing the internet. Information used in intranet is usually stored on local servers, which makes it more secure from outside users for the same reason as above. So thank you very much, and please do what to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any question, please put it in the comment section. Right? I'm going to see you in the final series of this chapter. Bye.